Hey good people, and welcome back to the channel. In just a few moments, you'll get to hear my thoughts and feelings on episode 3 of Our Kind of People. Now I know I'm a little late in posting this review, but it's better to be late than never, right? So let's dive right in. Episode 3 kicks off with a flashback scene when Angie's mother was alive. Angie and her mother are at a party dancing, and Angie's looking thicker than cold Rotel dip. This flashback scene turns out to be a bad dream that Angie's having. We get a scene of Nikki dancing for Patricia, and Angie joins in on the fun. They are discussing celebrating Juneteenth in the area. Nikki leaves to go to a room while Angie and Patricia have their one-on-one. Angie talks about how she can't get over her mother selling her, while Patricia mentally reflects on the last interaction she had with Teddy Franklin. While Nikki is by herself, she finds an old video of her beating up somebody that went viral. We get a scene of Raymond picking Lauren up at the police station. Lauren spends this time telling her father that she's a lesbian, to which the father seems far more supportive than Leah was. They join Leah and Quincy. Leah seems to be forcing a connection with Lauren during this time, who appears to be uncomfortable with this. The kids leave and the DuPonts talk about Angie getting an interview for the incubator program. We then see Angie and Tariq having their scene together, and they talk about attending a Juneteenth party. At this point in the show, I still say their connection seems a little bit too forced, but who am I? We get a scene of Angie at the incubator interview, and it seems to be a dozen people in the room. Angie seems to be answering every question thrown her way, and Leah is using this time to embarrass Angie at every turn. Leah has the final say on who gets into the program, and she votes no. Outside the interview, Angie and Leah engage in petty dialogue. The discussion ends when Angie is singing Negro spirituals while keying Leah's car. Leah is seen visiting her mother. She mentions her mother being medicated and talks about how she remembers her mother's Juneteenth parties. We get a flashback scene of how Leah's mother was committed to a facility and how Leah's father had the people in the white suits lock her up. Leah then snaps out of it and finds Angie's hair care product in her mother's room. Leah then goes to visit Angie at her shop and confronts Angie about visiting her mother. Angie and Leah discuss the elephant in the room and talk about being sisters. Leah talks a whole bunch of trash and then tries to bribe Angie for her silence. Angie rips up the check and vows that she can't be bought. Now me personally, if I were Angie, I would have taken the money. These DuPonts and the father seem to be some unsavory characters, and continuing to poke the bear may result in Angie, or someone like her, being in somebody's trunk. But I digress. We get a scene of Angie confronting Teddy Franklin. Yaya is actually showing some emotion in the scene, which was clearly missing in the past 2 episodes, which I can admire. She tells Teddy how she feels, and we as the audience see Teddy's hand shaking under the table. My first thoughts when I saw this was that Teddy has Parkinson's. Teddy uses his conflict de-escalation tactics to calm Angie down. Angie leaves the meeting before the two can come to a resolution. We get a scene of Taylor and Nikki at the party for kids. A couple of girls at the party are making light of Juneteenth, and Nikki tries to fight them. Later that night, Taylor and Nikki have a one-on-one. Nikki tells Taylor about the fight that went viral on social media, and Taylor opens up and tells Nikki that she lied about Lauren pushing her off the boat, which kind of came out of nowhere. Taylor is clearly hiding something in the scene, and Nikki picks up on it. We then see Tariq and Angie go out on a very sedity date. Tariq talks to Angie about his dream of building a stadium. He also talks about his desire to step out of the Franklin shadow, which is actually a foreshadowing to his story with the show. The next scene wins the award for most random scene in the entire episode. We see Patricia driving up late at night in the middle of nowhere, and Teddy jumps in her car. Patricia has a shovel with her, and we learn that she killed a man some time ago and buried him on the property. Teddy knows about this, and he's using it as leverage for her to convince Angie to leave the area. The scene ends with Teddy reminding Patricia who's the boss. Nikki returns home from the party and she's greeted by a concerned Angie. Angie sees that Nikki is high and she finds the fight video on Nikki's phone. They talk about the situation and Nikki reveals that her grandmother was her best friend and she doesn't really feel connected to anybody else. Angie then meets up with Patricia to talk about Nikki, and Patricia gives her thoughts on the matter. Angie shares her desire to get into the incubator program, as well as her plans to attend the party that Teddy will be present for. Patricia has a worried look on her face. Seems like the show has 2 or 3 parties every single episode. Later on at this party, Angie meets up with Teddy. She presses him for a position in the incubator program, and he tells her that it's out of his hands. Before they can finish their conversation, Leah's mother shows up at the party, and she publicly confuses Angie for Leah. This angers Leah, and it causes her to publicly blast Angie's relationship to the family. The DuPonts, along with Teddy, meet with Angie alone. They spend much of the time blaming one another for the gossip that Leah's outburst may have caused. Angie then comes up with a solution of them introducing her as part of the family so that there will be no longer any gossip. In the next scene, Leah is standing before the crowd at the party, and she introduces Angie as being part of the family. Angie then uses this opportunity to address the crowd and publicly thank the DuPonts for giving her a spot in the incubator program, which they never did, which was brilliant on Angie's part. Also during the scene, Leah notices that Teddy's hands were shaken, but she doesn't say anything. Tyreek and Teddy have a scene together, and we find out that Tyreek has been helping Teddy with Angela. Teddy thanks Tyreek for his loyalty. Afterwards, the doctor calls Teddy and informs him that he has Parkinson's disease. Big surprise. Leah and Lauren then have a scene together, and Lauren seems to be angry with the news that Angie is her aunt, and she's also tired of being perfect for her mother. Leah comforts Lauren during this time, and also admits that Taylor came to her senses in dropping the charges against Lauren. Big surprise. We get a scene of Nikki and Angie talking about Angie's mother. Angie tells Nikki that she wants to make her the face of Eve's crown. Nikki seems excited about it. And in the final scene of the episode, we see Angie visiting Nikki's father in prison and telling him that she thinks it's time that they meet. Overall, on a scale of 1 to 10, I would give this episode a 4. While I liked how Yaya's acting performance is continuing to improve in the series, the storytelling in this episode alone was largely predictable. Speaking of predictions, allow me to make a few of my own. First prediction, Teddy isn't really sick. Leah, Raymond, or someone else in their party may be drugging Teddy and making him think he has Parkinson's so he can leave the company. And this is similar to something that happened with Lucius Lyons in the first season of Empire. Second prediction, Nikki, Taylor, and Lauren are going to have a love triangle, with Taylor being caught in the middle. Third prediction, Tyreek will find out that Teddy killed his father and he'll seek some kind of revenge. Fourth, Angie will have an affair with Raymond. And fifth, Angie will try to come for control of the company. Well, folks, this marks the end of my video. Let me know what you thought about it or the episode in the comment section below, and I'll be sure to reply. Until next time, stay tuned and stay safe. Peace.